Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. No One White here again. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to say this at the beginning of the video because I don't know if you guys watch all the way to the ends of my videos, but I just want to say I appreciate you guys all for watching. I know I do have two very different cars that I'm working on. One kind of looks, you know, more like a piece of crap than the other one, but I mean, it is what it is. You Civic owners, I know you know I'm talking about the EF, but kind of is what it is. But either way, I appreciate you guys stopping by and being really active in the comments, and I always try to respond to you guys as soon as I can just to help you guys out. In today's video, I'm going to be working on the Lexus and on the Civic. The Civic, I mentioned earlier, has been dying. I haven't really been driving it, but when I do drive it and it warms up, it kind of just shuts off randomly. Almost seems like bad distributor vibes, kind of. I mean, I've driven a lot of Hondas and I know that the internals of the distributor can fail sometimes, and usually that means they just die. Like, they'll just die randomly on the freeway or die randomly at a light. And so that's a hunch I have. However, you guys do know I bought that motor from Pick and Pull, and I don't really know the condition of the engine at all. I know it runs, it starts right up, fires right up, but honestly, I haven't done any compression tests or any of that. Just literally threw it in there and decided to just send it and see what happened. I did have to do a helicoil on one of the cylinders, and that seems to be holding just fine. But I kind of have a hunch that it might have a blown head gasket. I don't know yet. So today we're going to try and figure that out. On the Lexus, I am going to try to finally mount the gauges permanently and get those all squared away, because they have just been hanging there in the center console doing nothing. It's kind of hard to see them when I'm driving. And then the boost gauge, I don't even have hooked up to any kind of like backlight source, so at nighttime it's completely dark. I don't even know what it's reading at all. So I was finally able to get a set of gauge holders that is designed to go just underneath the traction control buttons. I don't know if you guys know where I'm talking about. You IS300 guys know for sure, but it pretty much is going to sit directly underneath the traction control button and the seat heaters if you have them. I've been working with a guy on YouTube that I just met through YouTube, and we've been talking to each other back and forth. Turns out he knows how to 3D print things very well, and so I sent him a few dimensions, and he pretty much sent me back a gauge holder that I can try. He sent me a few of them now, and I've kind of just tried to finalize the measurements and stuff, because obviously he's not here to measure them, so I had to do all the measuring myself, and I think they turned out pretty good. You guys definitely need to go check him out. His YouTube channel is Logan Did It. I'll leave a link in the description. I'll probably actually put it on the screen somewhere you can see it. Super nice guy. He's got a few projects of his own that he's working on, so I know there are a few old school American cars, so definitely go check out his channel if you guys get a chance. But let me just show you guys what the gauge holder looks like and kind of where I'm going to put it at. This is the gauge holder that was 3D printed by him. Got all the design from him. It's got two mounting holes here, and he can make these with 3 gauge pods or 2 gauge pods, or even 1 gauge pod holder if you need. But I do have my wideband here that's going to go into this hole right here. I'm not going to push it all the way in there because I don't need it to be permanently in there yet. And then my boost gauge will go on this side and this hole over here. So as I mentioned to him, this is, you know, not a finalized project, but I mean, it's pretty close to there. He did send me a few other ones, and I had to have him, you know, adjust some measurements. But all I did was sand this down some, sprayed it with some Krylon Fusion paint there, and I think it came out all right. So this is actually designed to sit just underneath this. This just pops out, in case you guys didn't know. It's just held on by like these little clips here. Sits under the radio, and what this is designed to look like is this will sit up like this, and then this guy will sit just like this, just under it, and inside the car that's what it'll look like. And then it just mounts with let me show you. It's hard to do this with one hand, but it'll just mount underneath here with these 2 mounting holes, that one there and that one there. You just got to mark them and drill them, and then there's a little spot there for the screw to go into, so should work out perfectly actually. Got the gauges in. I think these will work perfectly right here. I need to redo my dash. I did spray paint this dash because it had the sticky dash. The rest of it looks okay, but just looking at that right there, I probably scraped it taking that thing in and out. But anyway, gauges are in. They fit perfectly fine. I do have my cable here that's going to the FIC, so I might run this in a different location, but overall, I mean, like I said, you can't really open this up too much, but I don't really care because I don't use it. And I can still use my cigarette lighter for my phone charger. But aside from that, that's what it looks like, guys. I think it looks pretty good. Let me turn the key on so you can see what it looks like. Backlight is on, gauges are working. As I mentioned earlier, if you guys want to run this same style gauge setup, it can be 1 gauge, it can be 2 gauges or 3 gauges, I believe will fit in here depending on how wide the gauges are. Just hit that guy up. Logan did it. Check out his channel, message him on there, and he should be able to get right back to you guys. If you can't get a hold of him, then just please ask me and I'll get a hold of him for you guys. But he should be able to put together some kind of gauge holders for you guys. It doesn't even have to be right here. It could potentially be wherever, as long as you give him good dimensions to work with, and just be patient with him and he'll be able to get it done for you guys. But now that the gauges are done, we can focus on the Civic. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, it has been dying. I have my suspicions that the head gasket is blown, so I'm going to go ahead and first do a compression test just to see if there are any cylinders that are, you know, obviously down on compression compared to the other ones. And this is also a good time for you guys to learn how to do a compression test if you don't know how to do one. You don't really need anything special. All you need is a compression tester, a little tool. You can rent them, you can buy them, and then you also need to be able to pull your spark plugs out. So whatever, you know, whatever tools you would usually use for that, a ratchet, extension, and a spark plug socket, that's usually all you need. And then you can go on ahead and check the compression. I also recommend having a piece of notebook paper or your phone or whatever you want to write in. I just use paper because it's just faster to just write it down real quick and then continue on. So I'll go on ahead and show you guys how to do that. When the spark plug wires are out, obviously the car is not going to start at all. If you guys want to pull out fuses to disable the ignition system completely, you can do that. However, it's just not necessary. I also don't like spraying fuel down into the cylinders while I'm doing this, so I'm going to go on ahead and disconnect the fuel injector clips, and since it's really easy on these B series anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and do that before I pull out these spark plugs. And we have cylinder 4 at 170. Alright, got all the numbers here for the compression test. Cylinder 1's 178, 170 for cylinder 2, 165 for cylinder 3, and 170 for cylinder 4. Now, all these numbers are, you know, they're healthy numbers for a motor that has, I don't know how many miles on it, because I have no clue, you know, if the odometer was correct on the car or not. And I will say that cylinder 2 is the one I did the helicoil on, and that's holding 170, that's fine. The one that concerns me the most is cylinder 3, not because it's in the 160s, but what you want to have is something that is within 10% of each other. So these could all be 120 PSI for all I care, but if they're all 120 PSI, I know that the motor is probably healthy and it'll run fine. However, this 165 is quite a bit different than this 178 up here. So that leads me to believe that something may be going on with cylinder 3. Now the proper way to do this would be do a leak down test, but I don't have an air compressor, so I can't do that. So I just went to the next best thing, and was to do the compression test. Now I will also like to note that if you look down inside the radiator here, there's some brown looking, I don't know, looks like oil type of stuff. And then when I did take this cap off, some pressure was released, and I haven't driven this car in probably, I don't know, a week or so, maybe a little bit less. I'm not certain, guys, but I'm pretty sure that something's going on with cylinder 3. May have blown a head gasket, I don't know. I'm gonna have to pull this head off to figure out for sure. But the only other way I could think I could test this out would be to take it on a drive right now and see if coolant actually gets pushed into the overflow and fills that guy up. Right now it's empty, but if I take this for a drive and kind of just drive it normally, you know, get on a little bit, I'll know for sure if coolant goes into this guy. I mean, yeah, could be that my radiator cap's bad, but this radiator is brand new and this cap is brand new, so I'm gonna have confidence that my cap is holding pressure properly. And if it does go into this overflow over here, then I'm pretty sure I have an issue. I do notice that it misfires sometimes, and obviously if there's water getting into the cylinder, that was going to cause it to misfire. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to put all the plugs back in, go on a quick little drive, and see if this overflow fills up with some water or not. Alright, so before I left, this thing was empty. Now it definitely has coolant in it, and it doesn't really look that great. You can see how brown and nasty this thing is, and then you can't really see inside there, but I don't know. I'm not very convinced that it is good coolant in there. So, and like I said, this thing was empty when I left, so right now I'm about 90% sure that something's going on with the head gasket, maybe between these two cylinders right here or just this cylinder alone. But I don't know. We'll see if I have to pull the cylinder head off of this or not, and maybe get the head resurfaced and get a new head gasket in there just to make sure. I mean, I've done a lot of head gaskets on these motors. They're really easy. They're not hard at all. So Civic, I'm pretty sure, has a blown head gasket. I don't know for sure, but I will drive it again and see if it does push more coolant into the reservoir. Again, it could be a bad radiator cap, but considering the way it runs and kind of how it misses sometimes at idle, I'm pretty sure that something's going on there, and I'll probably have to pull the head off and get it resurfaced, but we'll just have to see what we're going to do with that. As far as the IS300 is concerned, this thing is running great, guys. The new turbo is working good, doesn't leak oil anymore, builds boost just as quickly as the other turbo did, and overall the turbo from Speedway Motors has been doing perfectly fine. I still can't really, get many videos of me driving it too hard because I am on the stock injectors, which is fine. It's running about 3-4 psi right now, and AFRs are perfect. However, the transmission being the automatic, it doesn't like to be driven really hard, wide open throttle shifts. I feel like I'm hurting something. Probably in the next video or the next couple of videos, I'll be showing you guys how to shim the transmission. Now, this is something that can be done pretty cheap. You'll just need a new transmission filter, a new gasket, and then some type of shims. You can order a shim kit, you can use washers, you can use whatever you want, but I'll definitely have to show you guys how to do that. Obviously that means I'm gonna have to pull the transmission out because you can't do it with it on the car, but that is one of the next major things I need to do the IS300 in order to be able to fully enjoy it like I want to. You guys just have to stay tuned for that. Thanks again for stopping in to watch the video, and if you liked the video, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.